Welcome to Live Vedanta, a podcast about simple living and high thinking. In this season, we're sharing insights from Courageous Caregiving, drawn from Vibhishana Gita. This week, we're taking a closer look at Shila, or Nobility, and how we can become a good role model that is rooted in strong character. As always, if you want to join Parenting Culture Live, which is where these discourses are from, you can visit our website, chinmayanagra.com, and click Communities. They meet every Monday at 9, so you should totally join. And if you want to catch up on a previous episode, just go into our show notes. We always include a link to the episode beforehand. With that, let's tune in.
Hariom, and greetings from Niagara Falls. On Sunday mornings, I've been teaching a course called Wake Up to Your Potential. I've been using Moha Mudgara, that is a scripture by Acharya Shankara, that's more popularly known as Bhaja Govinda. Recently, we studied two verses which I feel are very applicable to parenting culture. I will chant the Sanskrit, then read the English for all of us to reflect on. Yavat vitto parjana saktaha tavan nija parivaro raktaha pascha jivati jarjara dehe vartam kopi na prichati gehe yavat pavano nivasati dehe tavat prichati kushalam gehe gatavati vayao deha paye bharya bhibyati tasmin kaye bhaja govindam govindam bhaja mudamate. I'm reading the translation. If you have a family member nearby, look at them while I read this translation. As long as there is the ability to earn and save, so long are all your dependents attached to you. Later on, when you come to live with an old, infirm body, no one at home cares to speak even a word with you. In the next verse, as long as there dwells breath in the body, so long they inquire of your welfare at home. Once the breath leaves, the body decays, even your spouse fears that very same body. Sometimes when we're arguing with a friend and they've done something wrong or they're thinking about something in a wrong way, you will say they're in denial. As we listen to these verses, we feel this is not relevant to me. That's us living in denial. And so we have a space where we're trying to experience a course on courage. The one who's courageous doesn't deny. The one who's courageous embraces. This is right, this is wrong. Specifically with parenting, caregiving, based on being right rather than being liked. I feel there's been a big change in parenting where we want to be liked more than being right. I've been reading and listening to people share about gentle parenting, intensive parenting. So I'm extracting some of these insights and sharing them with you. How many of you are part of Generation Y by a show of hands? Generation Y, often described as millennials also. I believe born in 1981 to like 1996. So again, show of hands. Okay, quite a few. Can you describe to me a phrase or an assessment of how Generation Y parents are. Please share. Compare them to Generation X or Generation Z. Today's Canada's Day, so it's Z, okay? Helicopter parenting, overreacting, passionate. A phrase that I came across was overly permissive. Overly permissive. We let our kids do whatever they want. Again, because we want to be liked rather than being right. And so psychologists, sociologists have shared, we have to be the bad guy when it comes to parenting. We most often have to be the bad guy when it comes to parenting. Otherwise, our children hold us emotionally hostage. We can't think clearly. We don't feel healthy. And that's why this year we're focusing on being courageous, tuning into what's right, not just what's likable. And so the balance between gentle parenting and intensive parenting is sturdy parenting. Whoever came up with that phrase has also studied Vibhishana Gita from the Ramayana. We are using Vibhishana Gita, which is from the Ramayana. This is a version of this. I really hope you all have copies of this. I really hope you're following along, taking notes, and so on. Many of us who chant the Hanuman Chalisa, there's one verse that highlights Vibhishana. Tumaro mantra Vibhishana mana. Hanumanji was offering guidance to Sri Vibhishana, and he followed this. Then he started to be known as Lankeshwara Sabajagajana. People don't know him just as Sri Vibhishana. He is the master, the ruler of Lanka. I point this out because this is a system of role modeling. Hanumanji was an amazing caregiver, a role model for Sri Vibhishana. Sri Vibhishana is an amazing caregiver, a role model for us. The first value in Vibhishana Gita is Sauraja, which means commit. Especially commit through challenges. Those who are ordinary, when matters become challenging, they slow and stop. But for those who are extraordinary or courageous, when matters are challenging, that is when we should commit even more. As I look around, it is a holiday in Canada. It's even more reason to be in this space and time right now. But our orientation's not like this. It's a holiday, so I should have a holiday from self-development also. This is the foundational teaching of this map, of this course. To commit, when you commit, it doesn't matter if it's likable or dislikable. The next set of values may sound quite similar. After this is dhiraja, which means determination, then satya, that means integrity. So an example for you to think about, so that we don't feel this is redundant. What is your favorite competition in the Olympics? Please share in the chat. Favorite competition in the Olympics? Sure, track and field. In track and field, what's your favorite competition? Swimming, yes. By popularity, it would be the 100 meters sprint or dash. Yes? Now, if you take 8 runners, a typical track has 8 lanes. If you take 8 runners, between the first place finisher and the 8th place finisher, how much of a time gap is there? It's not even 1 second, correct? It's tenths of seconds. And that's the difference between the first place and the 8th place. So similarly, these values are nuanced, and that makes us a better and better and better caregiver. Good example, so that we don't feel this is redundant. The second quality is dhiraja, which means determination. Once you determine what is right, then be determined. This is so rational. Often in the world, the concept is might is right, but in a sacred field, right is might. My master, Puja Swami Tejomayananda, had shared, the softest pillow. Can you tell me what the softest pillow is? I think Sleep Country sells it, yes? Or that pillow guy who gives so much money to certain political parties. A clean conscience. And how do you nurture a clean conscience? By following your responsibilities to feel that caregiving is your responsibility. The third value, we took this up last week, satya, or integrity. Integrity is very much about using your equipments of expression, from your thoughts to your words to your actions, giving you another framework to try to remember this by. A lot of us, we study bhakti, or dedication maps together, like Srimad Bhagavatam in the mornings. Bhakti, or dedication, flows through 6 S's. And I hope you remember these. What was the first S? Most passive to most active. What is most passive? Sit, to sit. As I look around, where there are partners, one of the partners, they logged on to this class. They're the ones who registered. They're the ones who are taking notes. And what's the other partner doing? Sitting. So sit. More active than that, sing. And more active than that, what's after sing? Seek. Good. Now study this. See how bhakti plays into satya. Sitting is with your actions. Singing is with your words. And seeking is with your thoughts. So there's a consistent alignment between those who feel that they are dedicated. Integrity is part of that. Now I'll extend this even further to show you how beautiful this tightness of teachings are. These first 3 S's are more passive. The next 3 involve giving. Giving that which is easiest to giving that which is hardest. So what's the 4th S? Giving resources, which means support. That's right, support. After that, harder than that is giving time. And so as you've shared, that is serving. But the hardest, this is the greatest, is giving effort. Support, serve, all of this is directing us to surrender. Surrendering the ego. These next 3 S's are not integrity, but they're ideally. I'd shared with you, satsanga is inclusivity. That's us being together right now, where we can just breathe and be and not compare. I'd heard today, very accurately, What is Instagram known as? Do any of you know? How would you describe Instagram to a 10-year-old? What is Instagram? It is the envy machine. Instagram is the envy machine. As soon as you're on there, there's where envy starts to grow and grow and grow. Inclusivity. Then there is satya, which is integrity. Then there is sattva, which is ideally. This is how that baton is passed as you become more and more and more active. The final thoughts I'd shared on satya before I move into the next quality. Integrity becomes more difficult when there's complexity. And so if you're struggling with integrity, maybe you're living in complexity. So what should you do? Live in simplicity. When it comes to articles, be simpler. When it comes to circumstances, be simpler. When it comes to beings, be simpler. And then finally, I'd shared, I really tried to follow this. Certainly, my children are watching me, but I also feel that they're watching me when they're actually not watching me. My children are sleeping right now. They're biologically not watching me, but I still try to feel that they are watching me. I actually try to feel that everybody can read my thoughts. It helps me to be very, very, very careful about judging you very hardly and judging you softly and liking you and disliking you. These are all ways that Satya helps us to be a courageous parent. 2 wheels complete. Now we're tuning into 2 flags. There's the higher flag that's known as Dwaja. In this case, the value that is integrity. But then there's a lower flag. It's a smaller flag. In Sanskrit, it's called a pataka. That lower flag symbolizes the value of Shila. I'm not making this up. If you have a book, you can read it. So tell me in the chat, what does Shila mean? Shila, tell us what Shila means. Anyone? Nobility, good, good. Anyone else? Growing up, what did you hear in terms of Shila? Conduct. Character, that's right. Shila means conduct, good conduct, obviously, which comes from good character. And so we can simplify this into one word, which is nobility. Those who are noble, they try to live in a way to uplift others. A noble person already feels uplifted, and they know how great that is. So they live in a way to help others be uplifted also. It's very different than how Hitler interpreted this, how colonialism interprets this. For Hitler, those who are noble were the Aryans. The Aryans were those who included everyone. They were not those who excluded everyone. That was Hitler's interpretation. Similarly with colonialism, I'm a noble person, so I live very differently than you do. But real Shila is where you're living with everyone in a more right way. A few more sentiments. Nobility is when our thoughts flow through to our actions, and then our actions repeat themselves as thoughts. So really you're creating a vasana. That means a personality impression, a personality propensity that is more oriented towards oneness. Rocks aren't porous, correct? The typical rock is not porous. This shirt is very porous. If you put water in it, it'll come through on this side. But if I had a rock here, it's not going to come on the other side. So a rock is more indicative of that oneness versus this cloth. Another word for Shila is rock. Shila also means rock. And so the implication again is, whatever you were thinking about, now act on that. Let that be your conduct, your character. And if you act on it, you will think like that more too. So you're creating this tight vasana. You're living more towards oneness. A couple of more reflections, and then we'll start our discussion. I read a moving quote that shared, one day your kids will become parents, so be the parent you want your kids to be. Yes, the chance of our kids becoming parents is very high. One day your kids are going to become parents. So be the parent you want your kids to be. Our kids, as they become parents, that means they get older, they're less tuned into our thoughts and more tuned into our conduct, character, actions. By a show of hands, how many of you sometimes catch yourself acting like your parents? Okay. How many of you don't like it? By a show of hands. And I think that vasana of your parents became your vasana. So we have to be careful about this. Here's one more quote relating to this. The day that we start to understand our parents is the same day that we have a child that doesn't listen to us. So suppose I start understanding, in my case, let's say my father, but now I don't have one kid, I have two kids who don't listen to me. So you see how that cycle goes on and on and on. And that's the importance of Shila, that conduct, that character, that nobility of acting towards oneness. Courage, determination, integrity, nobility, they sound very similar. They may be taught in a very similar way, but it's these refinements that make us the best version of ourselves.
If you enjoyed what you heard or want to learn more, share this episode with a friend or find us online at facebook.com/cmniagara. For those on the journey of self-development, Chinmaya Mission Niagara provides a community forum for seekers to listen, reflect, and contemplate. This podcast is produced by the Young Adults of Chinmaya Mission, an international nonprofit working to transform individuals through the knowledge of Vedanta. Until next time, inspire, love, be.